This video will provide a walkthrough for creating Turnitin submission areas, including all of the optional settings. Following this walkthrough will provide a consistent approach across the university. This video will focus on the two inbox submission method and will mean that the first inbox will only accept on-time submissions and the second inbox will accept late submissions and extensions. So to start with, head to the VLE area where you want the inboxes to be located and click on Assessments, Turnitin Assignment. The first setting is to choose an assignment type. We'll be leaving this as the default paper assignment, so just click Next Step. The next screen of settings is a lot more in-depth, so to start with we need an assignment title. It is also recommended that you include the date and time of deadline for this assignment so that the students are aware. The next option is to enter a point value. In this case we're going to enter 100. The point value is only used when marking is done through the GradeMark interface. However, it makes no difference if GradeMark is not used, so it's good practice to enter a point value every time you create an inbox. The next options are for what files this inbox will accept. The default is to only allow file types that Turnitin can check for plagiarism, which includes Microsoft Word, PowerPoint and PDFs. The other option is to allow any file type, which is used for more unconventional assignments. Using the Allow Any File Type option will mean that some submissions will not generate an originality report or appear in GradeMark's document viewer. In this case, it's a pretty standard essay assignment, so I'm going to allow only the file types that can be checked for originality. Next, onto the dates on the right hand side. The start date is the date that it will become visible to the students. It is normally the same date and time as when you're setting up the inbox, as it is here in my example. There's often no need to change the start date. The due date is obviously the deadline, so I will change that to the 26th of August in my example. And the post date is when the marks will be returned to the students. Now in the past, Turnitin has had problems with the post date and constant manipulation between the date backwards and forwards. Therefore, it should be set months or years in advance and a random date, and should be changed once, brought forward when the academic and office are ready to release the marks back to the students. So in this case, I'm going to say for the 29th of February. Next, onto the optional settings which appear when you scroll down. Enter special instructions will give you instructions that will appear as a description below the inbox on the VLE. So I will enter some text just to show you when we created this inbox where it is. This could include notes for attaching a cover sheet or what to call the assignment when it's submitted. Now, as we are doing the two inbox method, this first inbox should not allow late submissions, should not allow submissions after the due date. A second inbox will be created to allow these, and it means that all submissions to this first inbox are on time. Generate originality reports for submissions should be set to yes, which is the default. Generate originality reports for student submissions should be set to on due date. You have three options here. Immediately, first report is final, means that the students can only submit to the inbox once, and as soon as they have submitted, the originality report is generated. The second option is immediately, can overwrite reports until the due date, which means the students can submit as many times as they want, but still, when they make that submission, the originality report is generated. We use on due date, which means it takes the student's final submission and generates the originality report on the due date, therefore comparing the submissions against each other in the same inbox in case plagiarism has been committed by two students in the same class. The next settings we tend to leave as they are. Exclude bibliography materials from similarity index is set to no, exclude quoted materials is set to no, and exclude small matches is set to no. There will be cases where these may need to be changed to yes on a school or faculty basis, but you will be aware of these. Allow students to see originality reports is also set to no, although again in certain cases it may be changed to yes so that students can understand what the originality reports do. Reveal grades to students only on post date should be changed to yes, which means that the marks and feedback can only be seen by the student when you're happy to release them back once everything is complete. The paper should be submitted to the standard paper repository, which is the large Turnitin database, which holds all the papers past and present, which is used to check for plagiarism. Finally, you have an option to attach a rubric or grading form, which is used for GradeMark purposes. You can do so by selecting from the list of rubrics and forms that you have available on your account. You may be asked to do this by an academic, and you may have them available in your drop-down list. Don't worry if you don't have anything to add, just click No Rubric or Form. These can be attached at a later date or time by an academic or by support staff, so you do not have to add them in this first instance. Scroll down and click Submit. You'll now get a warning message that will tell you, do you realise that your post date is set more than 2 weeks after the due date? Yes, we do realise that. You just need to click OK, and once again that's because we do not want to manipulate the post date too often. Once you've clicked OK, you should receive a successfully added screen. Click OK and you'll go back to the area where your assignment will now be added, the title, date and time submission, and there's that description. For students to submit, they just need to click the View/Complete button and it will take them through to the submission screen. Now because we are on the 2 inbox submission method, this is only the first of 2 that we need to create. So for the second, click on Assessments and Turnitin assignment. Once again, we're having a paper assignment, so leave it as the default and click Next Step. Now, I'm not going to run through everything again on this second inbox screen, but it's very familiar. So an assignment title. Again, with the date and time of the deadline so students are aware. This time, I'm adding a suffix on the end to say that this inbox is for late or extension submissions only. Again, I'm entering 100 for the point value, and I'm leaving the file type to be the default, allow only file types that can be checked for plagiarism. Now in this case, we will be changing the start date. We don't want this inbox to appear to the students until the deadline. This is important so students cannot submit to the wrong inbox. The due date will actually be the same as the start date, as they're both being set up at the same time. And once again, the post date will be set months or years in advance so that students cannot get access to their results until they're released by the academic or office when everything is complete. So that's what the date should look like. The start date and the due date will be the same, and it means that this inbox does not appear until the deadline has passed and students that are only late or having extensions can submit to this area. Scroll down to the optional settings. Special instructions can be added as before. In this case, allow submissions after the due date must be set to yes, because technically every submission to this inbox is late. Most of the other submissions remain the same. We still want to generate originality reports. The report should still be generated on the due date. No for bibliography materials from the similarity index and quoted materials. No for small matches, and no for allow students to see originality reports. As I said before, any of these can be changed to yes on a school, faculty or module basis, depending on what is wanted. Once again, reveal grades to students only on the post date should be changed to yes, which means only when the marks and feedback are finalised and the post date is changed is when the students will get access. Enable anonymous marking should also be set to yes, as with the first inbox, as this is a one-way process. If we select no here, we can no longer add anonymous marking at a later date. If we select yes here, we can remove anonymous marking if the academic does not plan to use GradeMark. So it's great practice to select yes. We're still going to submit papers to the standard paper repository, so it goes into Turnitin's database and compares against the vast number of papers that they have. Again, you have an option to add a rubric or form for GradeMark purposes, and you may wish to do this. It will be consistent to add the same rubric or form to both the on-time and the late submission areas, if you have any. In this case, we're leaving it as no, and it can still be added at a later date. We'll click Submit. Once again, we're going to get the warning telling us that the post date is over 2 weeks after the due date. We'll click OK to continue, as we are aware of this and we're doing it for a reason. Again, we receive confirmation that the Turnitin assignment has been successfully added, and clicking OK takes us back to the inbox. So now you can see both inboxes for this 2 inbox method. The first one, Essay 26th of August 12, which will accept on-time submissions, and the second one, Essay 26th of August 12 late/extensions, which, as it says below, is not yet available and will become available to students on the deadline. This means that inbox can only accept lates and extensions.